Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition of The Fly-In, a podcast brought to you by the New Dems. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm Greg Landsman.
And I'm Marc Veasey from Texas. Howdy.
Now, we were not supposed to be here this week, but Republicans brought us back to vote on this big, disastrous bill, one of the most harmful pieces of legislation in modern history. We wanted to just do a quick recap of where this bill stands now, having been worsened in the Senate. I mean, it got worse in the Senate.
Worse.
More cuts to health care, more deficit spending. It is a demonstrably worse bill. And here is the bill in 10 numbers. Number one, 17 million. It kicks 17 million Americans off their health insurance. Number two, 5 million. 5 million Americans will lose their food assistance because of the cuts to SNAP. You're talking about children, seniors, veterans, 338. One estimate says that over 338 rural hospitals will shutter and close. 2,200, that's the increase in out-of-pocket healthcare costs increases, meaning that even if you get to keep your healthcare, because this is taking away 17 million healthcare away from 17 million Americans, healthcare costs on average across the board for all of us will go up by $2,200. It makes low-income families lose about $1,600 a year in just general income because of the way the tax cuts are set up. While the top 10% will get an additional $12,000, and the top 0.1% get an additional $100,000. Most families will lose about $1,600.
Wow.
It eliminates 1.75 million construction jobs. It increases energy bills by $400. It pushes 5.4 million Americans into medical debt and gives $4.5 trillion in tax cuts to the wealthiest people, not just in the country, but around the world. And finally, number 10, it adds $3.3 trillion to the federal debt.
Unbelievable. From the same group of people that are always like, oh, we're the party of fiscal responsibility, and they're always trying to lecture people. And, you know, this big, beautiful bullshit of a bill doesn't do anything in the name of fiscal responsibility. It actually creates a lot of fiscal irresponsibility, but yet they still like to run around with their chests pounded out. And let me just go over some of these numbers too, because one of the reasons why we're here working during these sort of odd hours and why they started this process.
Yeah, we were supposed to be home this week.
We're supposed to be at home this week.
Yeah.
And they think that the American public is not paying attention to this, and that's why they're trying to push it through now. And we know why they're trying to push it through, because this is a very unpopular bill. 29% of the American public say they support it. 55% of voters say they oppose it.
And that's a Fox poll.
That is Fox. That's Rupert. So you can't scream, "Oh, liberal media, liberal media." That's Rupert. That's Fox talking, right? Unions. You talked about those construction jobs. You know, one of the areas that Republicans like to tout is, we're the party of blue collar, yada yada yada. But unions and the trade unions, to be the building trades, to be clear, the building trades are coming out against this. They're eliminating construction jobs like you talked about earlier. So that's the whole blue collar deal right there. They're hurting blue collar America with this bill. Healthcare advocacy organizations, children's hospital associations, all coming out against this bill.
Can I say one thing on the children's hospital?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just to put it in perspective, and I suspect this is true across the board, but at least in Cincinnati, our children's hospital, 50% of its revenue comes from Medicaid.
Yeah.
This is now $1 trillion cut to Medicaid.
Yeah.
$1 trillion cut
Absolutely.
to Medicaid.
Yeah, it's going to squeeze children's hospitals. We have two major hospitals in Fort Worth and Dallas, and it's going to squeeze our children's hospitals. Food Research, an Action Center, American Clean Power, Committee for a Responsible Budget, and so many others are saying that this bill is bad and that it's going to hurt everyday Americans. And so, look, we need to get out there. We need to talk about this. We need to organize around this. We need to mobilize around this. And we need to keep talking about this, because this is going to hurt people.
One of the reasons why this has always been one of the three big things for at least the last couple of months, maybe even since we started this show, is because while there are so many things that are that this administration has done that's caused real harm and chaos, and the immigration mayhem in particular, I mean, it's really hurting people.
Right.
Nothing is going to hurt as many people as this bill. And it's really important for us to continue to focus on this, whether it passes or not.
Right.
And I want to come back to that. But you're talking about 17 million people who are going to lose their health insurance, 12 million from Medicaid, and another 5 million because they lose their ACA, Affordable Care Act subsidies.
Right.
That is an insane number of people. That's the largest cut in health care in American history. And so if this thing doesn't pass, we got to keep demonstrating. We got to keep the pressure on.
Yeah.
If it passes, we have to do everything in our power to restore what they cut.
Right.
And we can either do it by getting these guys to flip, or we just get a new Congress. But we can't let these people down.
No.
And so it doesn't end with this vote.
No, it doesn't end with this vote. And on that same note, I think what's really so disappointing about this to me is that one of our duties as members of Congress is to act as a check and balance against the legislative branch. I mean, against the executive branch. That's our duty as representing the Constitution. That is what the founding fathers wanted. Yeah. And I think about the times that I voted against Biden as a member of Congress. I got here under Obama, had to vote against Obama on some things, but I was representing my constituents and doing what I thought was best for the country. You have dozens of Republicans that know that this bill is going to be an adverse impact to their constituents. They know that this is bad for the country, but they're going ahead with this anyway because they're too afraid, because Trump said that he's going to primary them. That is absolutely insane.
There are a bunch of things in this bill that are really problematic. We went through the 10 numbers. I want to mention a couple things. One is the attack on reproductive freedom and reproductive health care and Planned Parenthood in particular. This bill singles out Planned Parenthood. And it's law right now, which is that no federal dollars can be used for abortion care. So it's not even happening. What they want to do is they want to go into those states, those blue states where there's still reproductive freedom, and defund those clinics. Yeah. And this bill does that.
Let me read these stories to you really quickly because I know we have to wrap it up. And you have constituents like this. These are some from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that called me. We had a veteran that reached out to us that said that he's very politically neutral, and that he's on Medicaid, and that he is scared to death that he is going to lose his coverage, and that there is no alternative for him. That is where we're at.
There is no alternative.
There is no alternative, and people are afraid right now, and they don't care. They just want to give Elon and they want to give Bezos a tax cut, and that's all they care about.
It is amazing that
it is.
All of this,
it's crazy.
All of this is based on tax cuts for the wealthy, and just to underscore that point, and then we'll get out of here, is if they just reset the tax rate for millionaires, billionaires, and big corporations to what they were in 2017, they could pay for all of the tax relief in this bill, all the border stuff they want to do, not add a single dollar to the deficit, and no one would lose their food assistance or their health care. One of the things that's clear is that New Dems are going to be sort of leading the charge and making sure that we're in a position to restore these cuts if this terrible bill passes.
Absolutely. I think that America is going to be really looking towards New Dems and members that are New Dems to see, hey, where do we go on this? Particularly members in some of these districts that are held by Republicans that are like saying, hey, this is not what I voted for. And they're going to want to hear what New Dems are saying on these issues.
I think that's right.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question about that.
All right, thank you all for joining us this week. Before we take off, please remember to follow us across social media platforms and to rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. We want to hear from you, and we'll see you the next time we fly in.
It's important info. Please keep sharing it.